3-0. More like 3-0. Oh my God. Welcome back to the Northern Steel Podcast, episode 80. For all you listeners at home, 80 episodes. Can you believe it? Look all the listeners we've amassed. This is super worth it. Thanks for checking out the podcast. Chris, name a player number 80 for the people.
Plaxico.
Plaxico Burress.
Yeah, surprised I pulled that one out.
A little bit of Mount Washington for you. Keep it relevant. Keep it recent.
Cedric Wilson.
Oh, well, Cedric Wilson, we like his play on the field. His off-the-field stuff, not so much. Hey, you know what? Don't Google it. Anyways, welcome back to the Northern Steel Podcast. My name is Dominic. This is Chris, and we're here to talk about Steelers football, previewing their Week 3 game. Reviewing their Week 3 game, previewing the Week 4 game, and doing our game picks like we always do. The Steelers, like I had mentioned right at the top of the episode, are 3-0. Just beat the Los Angeles Chargers. And like always, we're going to do the highlights just for you. So if you happen to miss the game because you're too busy walking around the San Diego area, not knowing that the Chargers do not live there anymore, do we have the highlights just for you? I'm not going to lie to y'all. When the game started, it was a little too much like the analysts were saying it would go. 3-0 by the Chargers, 3-0 by the Steelers, 3-0 by the Chargers, and here is another 3-0 by the Steelers. Right off the sack of Khalil Mack. Pause. I think there was a stat in the first quarter that said the Steelers had 6 plays for negative yards. 6? You want me to crash out in Week 3? Then to make matters worse, on the next possession, JK breaks off a long run, and I'm not laughing. Then the Chargers dial up, let's face it, a beautiful pass play that leaves a wide open Quentin Johnston, who figured out how to catch the ball this offseason, and the Chargers score a touchdown. And look, man, we're trying to be more optimistic, but when I tell you that I kind of thought it was over after one touchdown, I'm ashamed. The Yins got the best of me. That's just how it's going to be. But hopefully they can come back, baby.
On the Steelers' next drive, they find themselves 3rd and short, trying to keep this drive alive. And unlike Diddy's freak-off parties, Fields slips the ball past the defender and into the hands of Scotty Miller without the use of baby oil as he scampers up the sideline for a huge gain. Then again, Steelers are 3rd and short, knocking on the door to the end zone. Fields sells the misdirection, fooling everyone and even breaking my ankles at home, and leaps into the end zone unscathed. What a brilliant design play, leaving the Chargers defense completely perplexed, getting the Steelers on the board and tying the ball game. For a short time, Chargers get a field goal and end up going up 10-7.
Steelers ball, and we're showing a drop pass on 3rd down to Pickens? Yeah, I get it. It's crazy that Pickens dropped a pass, but why are we showing that? Especially since the next play is from a different drive, 26 seconds left in the half. Fields going through the progressions and finds George Pickens deep down the sidelines for a big gain. But then no context. We're going to skip past the missed field goal, go right into halftime, go to the 3rd quarter, and late in that drive, 3rd and 15, and Fields rips one in the seam to Calvin Austin for a big gain for the 1st down. But apparently, we're only showing 1 play per drive, so this does eventually lead to Chris Boswell field goal tying the game at 10.
Might be a bit unfair as the Chargers not only have to face Joe Alt's dad on one side of the line, but also Herbie fully loaded as Nick Herbig takes advantage of the left tackle and dismantles Herbert, drawing the forced fumble. This is where the game is about to open up for the Steelers, where Fields fouls to Cordell Patterson, and I kid you not, the ball bounces at least 20 times midair before landing safely in the hands of... Wait a second, who's that? Is that Bud Dupree? Bud, what the man? Are you gonna do us like that? Next Chargers possession, it's not Herbie, but Herbert might as well have been struck by a car as a Landon Roberts rips through the line and brutally decimates Herbert. Good God, another change of possession on this highlight reel? Can either team sustain a drive? No! Fields gets sacked, but what's that I hear? The Boz chant? Boz, as he kicks it through the uprights for 3.
Taylor Heineke in at quarterback and throws a solid crosser over the middle. Maybe this is exactly what the Chargers needed. A change of pace at quarterback. Just kidding? Control-Alt-Delete? More like it's Jobert for you, Alt, because TJ Watt easily wins the 1v1 matchup thus far for a quick sack. Steelers' next possession, Fields fires a pass over the middle to Calvin Austin. and he gone. Those little legs moving as fast as Mr. Krabs, and nobody catching him for the 55-yard touchdown. Steelers up 20-10. Fields able to fire the ball in before the safety dropped down, and I better hear a lot of silence from Calvin Austin haters. Ski my boy up, and the speed will make you pay, I promise you. Back to the defensive dominance. Look out, it's another white boy from Wisconsin, as Nick Herbig gets his second sack of the day, flying off the line and forcing the Chargers to think, are we not the more physical team? Cam Hayward answers, no, picking up a sack and moving to second place all time.
Trying to close out the game, and no better way to do that than running the hell out of the ball. Patterson gets off a huge run and then gets back-to-back ground pound, slamma-jamma plays, taking all the glory. But hey, he ain't our main dude. Here comes Najee Germany with the final strike, getting the ball all the way down to the 1-yard line and closing out this game for the Steelers. Steelers will go on and win 20-10 as Fields ignores the handshake of Harbaugh and goes in because, hey, he earned it. I love it. What a victory. What a victory.
Okay, so apologies. When you're writing jokes for the highlights, sometimes you write things a little bit too long, and I had more to say, but it went too fast. I wrote too much in there. Also, I want to point out your Najee Germany line. You missed a big opportunity by saying he gives the third strike, like third Reich.
I know. It would have been a lot better, but you know what? This is why we have these podcasts. It's totally less true. Of like an entertainment for the people. It's more of like constructive criticism that we can give each other throughout the entire process.
So just imagine that last joke was Najee Germany with the third strike to the Chargers defense.
Well, at first, I wrote down the final dagger, and I was like, I should say something more of like war related. So.
I'm trying to think of a Mein Kampf pun, but before we get flagged and banned off of all podcast sites, that was the Steelers' win against the Los Angeles Chargers. I gotta say, Chris, I'm very I know we're trying to have like a more positive spin on everything, and it's hard to be negative when you're 3-0, but like there's a lot of great things in that game. And I got to really point at, and you can talk about it, you can go more in depth, but I really got to point the attention to Justin Fields, because watching that game, he was going through his progressions. He was calm. I mean, the Broncos game, we talked about how he missed a bunch of stuff in that second half, and maybe he missed stuff in this game too. But when I was watching him, it was at least like he was trying. I saw a lot of times where his head was moving from the left to the right before making a decision and throwing the ball in there, and he had a great game in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the progression from him from game 1 to game 2 and now seeing him in game 3, granted it was a pretty slow start, but I mean it was a slow start for the team. I thought Fields played a phenomenal game, interception aside, and he was right away to take blame for that one. He's like, the guy cut in front of me, I shouldn't have been making that throw. The kind of stuff you really want to hear from that, a leader on the team, which is really nice. But the dude was looking at all of his progressions. I liked how when he snapped the ball, it was very much like he would always glance at Pickens just to see what he's doing, and then he would go and scan the other parts of the field. I'm trying to look and see as far as like how many different guys got the ball. But I mean, he really did a good job of just spreading it around, and I was very, very impressed with Justin Fields in this game.
I would say another big point that we talked about beforehand, Chris, when we talked about keys to the game and everything involved a win, was cleaning up the penalties, and they did just that. They brought the referees in for practice last week to clean up the penalties, and there's at one point, I think they only had one penalty at one point in the second half. I don't know how many penalties they ended up with, but it definitely wasn't 10-12 like the first 2 weeks. So they really cut back on that, and that I think helped them a lot to try to sustain. There was one big penalty I can remember off the top of my head, and it was an illegal formation penalty. I think they threw it to Freiermuth on like I don't remember if it was a tight end screen exactly, but it was something along those lines. And Freiermuth brought it from the 40-yard line to the 20-yard. It was like a 20-yard gain, and the illegal formation brought it back. It didn't necessarily kill the drive because I think that was the Calvin Austin rip over the middle for the first down. That's not the reason why their drive stalled out. However, a lot better on the penalty front.
And here's the thing too, I feel like we always talk about the players and how they executed and just kind of like offense, defense, but I got to give a shout out to the coaches and the coaching, because I feel like not more often than not, the Steelers really just kind of keep it the same game plan. They always talk about the execution of it, but like talk about a total change of pace between the first half and the second half. I mean, on both sides of the ball. Granted, it's not like the Chargers are really going downfield or anything, but in the second half, I think we had 220 yards just in the second half, and the Chargers had -5. Talk about a complete domination of halves.
That's insane.
It's just like the tale of two halves story. It was immaculate to see the coaching changes. And I mean, we've seen a lot of, Tomlin games. We've seen a lot of Tomlin games. That might have been one of my favorites that I've actually seen as far as how the team, took on a challenge and totally changed up their game plan and actually got stuff to work on both sides of the ball. It was so fun, that second half of football.
Yeah, and they out-physical their opponent. People were talking about how the Chargers are a very similar team in terms of a top defense and a rushing attack. Just how we that's pretty much our what's what I'm looking for. That's kind of our image right now, I guess you could say, is a strong defense and a rushing attack. And they out-physicaled them. They really did, especially like you said in that second half. The defense shut them down to -5 yards, and then the run game really finding its legs, finding its groove in that second half. I mean, big runs. Also, Najee breaking one late in that game that you mentioned, the third strike and those highlights. Brought it down to the 1-yard line, slowed down purposely, in my opinion, juked into a guy. But for all intents and purposes, would have scored a touchdown. He did the smarter move. There's no reason to put the defense out there, because what if you put the defense out there and TJ Watt gets hurt for no reason? He did the smart move. That was a great thing. But in all extent, in shoulda, woulda, couldas or make believe land, they basically won 27-10, because that was going to be a touchdown, and that's huge, right? Fields also playing this good against the at that time a top 3 defense is very promising. And I think one thing that I don't know if you have more thoughts on this, Chris, please share them. But one thing I want to bring up is that when we're 3-0 right now, which is great, and that's very, very fun. This is like the most fun I think I've had watching the Steelers on our podcasts thus far, because we haven't had great luck. But they're 3-0, and we live in Minnesota. Another team here is 3-0, the Minnesota Vikings. And right now, the Steelers and the Vikings are very different, in my opinion. The Vikings are like a top 3 team. They've beaten the Niners, and they've beaten the Texans, and they've beaten them
single-handedly.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm looking for. But they demolished them. They should have beat the Niners by more. They had a couple turnovers in the red zone, and they really crushed the Texans too. And they're playing on another level, top to bottom. But what I like about the Steelers, just to bring a positive spin on it, is that they've been making mistakes weeks 1 and 2 with the penalties. They haven't really found their groove on offense yet. But every week they're getting a little bit better. They're finding more of their identity. They're getting a little bit better. Defense, solid, right? That's great. But this is a team that is not at its peak yet, I believe. I truly believe that. And what is encouraging is that they don't believe that either. They want to improve. They want to get better. Like you said, Justin Fields, the post game, he talks about his interception. Najee Harris talks about wanting to run the ball better. They want to get better. And there's no better situation than wanting to improve, but also being 3-0, also winning games. Not to mention, they have kind of a laundry list of people on IR, and that and to find ways to win games while getting those guys back later in the year is going to be huge for this team.
It's always, always, always next man up in the NFL, and that's how it's going to be. And especially, as you get deeper into the season, that cannot be an excuse because every team gets their injuries. It's a matter of how you're going to face those struggles and keep moving forward and find those wins. So very, very impressive on this part. And I do agree. I think like the mentality of what this team has and all the players and what they're saying is so uplifting from the mentality of what we've seen before in the past. Like obviously I think we got excited when Canada left, but we didn't really know the state of the Steelers. We were shuffling through quarterbacks, had some good games with Mason Rudolph, but still it was really up in the air where we were going to move going forward. Had a big off season and got some big pickups and everything. Talking about the offense too, and how the last few weeks we've been knocking on the door. I think Arthur Smith compared this offense to, I think he kept calling it like the floodgates. The floodgates are about to open, and I do agree. I think this offense is going to keep getting better. I think the more, chemistry that our players keep building with each other, the more Justin can build that trust with George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, Calvin Austin now. Scotty Miller made a hell of a strive in this last game. To me feels like a winning recipe. And I do think those floodgates will open. I think we will start to score more points. And I do think eventually we could get to that level of being as well-rounded, but even more dominant of a team than how the Vikings are looking right now. In my opinion, if we keep this trajectory and guys keep wanting to get better and want more for, the city of Pittsburgh.
They got to stay hungry. And I would say that's a big difference between this year and, you don't want to compare yet because it's only week 3, but a lot of people are starting to think about, because they started out 3-0, the last time that happened was 2020. In 2020, we all know is the infamous year. They went 11-0 and then really skidded down. But that year they were, I'm not going to bring up the playoffs, but that year they were 11-0 and they were barely winning against bad competition. And which is kind of what we're doing now to a degree. However, they're very happy about it. Remember, you had Juju doing the dances. Claypool's a rookie at a time. They thought they were awesome. Big Ben thought he was awesome. Tomlin, the whole team was like, we're the best in the league. And then when they started losing games, they're like, we don't need to change. We're fine. We got this figured out. We're 11-1. And they lose another one. They're like, we're fine. We're 11-2. We don't need to change. And they lose another one. We're fine. We're 11-3. We don't need to change. And that was obviously a huge recipe for disaster that season, where the biggest difference to me for this year so far and their 3-0 tenure is that they want to improve. They're not winning the games and they're like, yeah, we won. We're sick. We're awesome. That was a great team win. Time to get back in the lab and try to win next week. They're like, yeah, we won. We can definitely do better though. And I want to get better and I want to do more and they're hungry for it. And I think that's a big difference. Even on the defense side too, the defense has been dominating, but TJ he wants more sacks. Cam Hayward wants more sacks. The whole D line wants more sacks. I know the cornerbacks want more turnovers. I mean, they're hungry in the sense of they want to shut every single team down they play against. And I will also say that before I move on real quick, Chris, to previewing our next game, I would say a huge difference between this year and the past 2 years from a defensive standpoint, because the defense has always been good, but these Arthur Smith drives, like I said, week 1, last a long time with the way they play, when they run the ball a lot and they get a lot of third down conversions, thankfully. And what's really helpful is that it's keeping the defense off the field and giving them time to rest. And we're seeing the results of that. They're playing out of their mind right now. They're playing at a historic level, which is what they should be doing because they're the highest paid defense in the league. but now they're getting the rest to do so. So that's exciting.
I just wanted to state my winners of this last game real quick, because I think there are some players that deserve the shout out for how well they did. And I think some of them could be obvious, and maybe you'll question some of the other ones. But first off, on the offense, I really want to go with, obviously, Justin. I think it was a big win for him. He's starting to look a lot more comfortable and confident. Calvin Austin, huge winner of this game, finally incorporating the offense, had a huge, 55-yard touchdown.
Yep.
Massive
I think he had 95
play.
yards.
Yeah. What a good breakout game for him to have, and I hope that we can continue to incorporate him in the offense. You and I have said it since we got him, like, we think he can be special. I just hope we keep it going. Even though he didn't make a ton of plays, Scotty Miller made an impact on this game with a solid, I think it was a third down up the sidelines. That was a great play to stay on his feet and get some extra yards. Corliss Waitman.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, this dude's been playing out of his mind. We lost easily our best player, Cameron Johnston. But this dude, I mean, people underestimate how important field position is and special teams, and they just was like, oh, punter, they're not important. Yeah, we had Presley Harvin for so many years punting for 31-yard averages. Like, the fact that this dude is booting at a 51-yard average is absolutely nuts.
You're great.
I hope if we keep Johnston that Waitman gets paid and gets what he deserves somewhere else, because that dude has been on fire. And then my last winner of the game has to go to Nick Herbig.
Yeah.
On the defensive side. Obviously, I think he had eight snaps that he had, and he had two sacks, 2 tackles for a loss, and whatever. It's just like unbelievable. So
and shout out to James Pierre coming back to the Steelers and being a great gunner on the punt returns, because of course Waitman's booting it past people can run, but James Pierre's getting there, and he was able to cover the punts every single time this past game, right when the guy caught it. So kudos to him. Those are all great points, things to be excited about. Now we're moving on to week 4 against the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis, against Anthony Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, and that whole bunch there. Before, Chris, you go into the keys of the game, I want to preview people for they don't know, or for people who don't know, kind of like the injuries that were sustained. Najee Harris's arm was in a sling, but according to Mike Tomlin's interview today, he said he should be good to go, so that's good news. Jaylen Warren is not ruled out yet, but we're going to see how he looks. I mean, they might not feel the need to rush him back with Cordell Patterson running as well as he was, and probably should try to get him healthy. Isaac Seumalo kind of in the same boat. They're going to see how he practices this week, and if he doesn't play against the Colts, they're going to do the same thing that we all know and love, the lineman rotation between Spencer Anderson and Mason McCormick. Love Mason McCormick. Spencer Anderson's doing well, but I do not like line rotation, but that's neither here nor there. And then Alex Highsmith, not put on IR, thankfully, but will be missing the next 2 to 3 weeks of play, so it will be the Nick Herbig show. And DeMarvin Leal getting some more playing time. So I do think those are capable guys to fill in for Highsmith's shoes for an hour. Highsmith, we need him back. He's a great run defender. He's a great other pass rusher, and he's a great person for like Herbig to come and relieve in on. But I do believe in the guys we have to make up for that for the time being. But someone who did go on IR, unfortunately, was Corey Trice, fan favorite. So we did lose a cornerback there, and we're going to have to hopefully no one else gets hurt on the cornerback level. And after that, I think it's Darius Rush after Dante Jackson, who we do like, but it's a big drop off in skill there. So we're kind of getting some injured guys. Maybe they end up signing somebody else. They already signed another offensive tackle because Troy Fautano's out for the rest of the regular season at least. So they could be signing another cornerback. Who's to say? But for right now, that's kind of the injury bug. But leading into week 4, the Indianapolis Colts, it is time for
keys to the game.
Keys to the game, baby. Chris, lay him down. Tell the people.
All right. So first, what we really got to get into is a big key to winning this game, I think, is establishing the run. Obviously, I know Najee is, like Dom mentioned, hurt, hopefully coming back and will be a full participant. But the biggest thing to know is that the Colts are without DeForest Buckner, which is a focal point of their defense. And without him, I think it's the perfect time to kind of expose their defensive line and to stack up some yardage. Obviously, I know Jalen Warren's week to week with his knee injury, but Cordell Patterson had some solid runs there last week. I think him and Najee back to back. I mean, they're kind of the same runner in a way. So, if we can get one guy moving, chances are you're going to get both guys moving as well, and that can be a scary combination. I think we always talked about how Jalen and Najee complementing each other well, because they really do. But I think if we can get one style established, it'll just kind of take charge for the rest of the game. So establishing the ground game is going to be so important. The next one, I think, is going to be the turnover battle. It's clear as day. Obviously, yeah, if you win the turnover battle, you're probably going to win the game. Duh. But here's the thing. Anthony Richardson is a freak athlete. He either makes the most phenomenal throws or the most irate, I am so upset he's my quarterback kind of throws. I have a buddy who's a Colts fan, and he's basically giving up on this game. And I was like, well, I'm too superstitious to say we're going to beat you guys. But the thing is, he's raw, and we knew this. He might be a freak athlete, but the dude is still making lots of mistakes, trying to figure it out, and we got to take advantage of that. There's been a lot of disguised coverages, a lot of flips between Deshaun Elliott and Minkah Fitzpatrick, which has just kind of worked out as far as just coverage and getting down into the run game. So I think the turnover battle is going to be huge, and we got to take advantage of every opportunity we get. We've been playing a clean game on the offensive side of the ball, but we got to keep that up and also get some turnovers there. And I think the final key to the game for me, because I don't want to go, there's so many keys to the games, but I want to keep it simple. Again, containing Anthony Richardson and keeping him in the pocket. We've been so good with running quarterbacks. Obviously, we have the best running quarterback in our division, and we shut him down every single time we play them. And Anthony Richardson is a more beefier Lamar Jackson. He's 290 pounds of straight beef, and the dude is just agile as all get out. So I think if we can get like a spy going on in coverage, maybe like a good game for Peyton Willis to get involved, those fast linebackers to just kind of like, or Deshaun Elliott to just kind of creep around and see where he's going to go. I want to keep him in the pocket, give our guys a chance to get around and sack him. I mean, we have phenomenal edge rushers and defensive line, so I'm not really too worried about that. But I think if we can keep him contained within the pocket, that's going to be huge for us to get the edge and take advantage of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Touching on all those points briefly, like you said, establishing the run. When you said DeForest Buckner is gone, the Colts actually are one of the worst run defenses in the league. And according to the graph I sent you tonight, Chris, they're kind of one of the, they're not a great passing defense either. They're one of the worst run defenses in the league. I think the Cowboys are a little bit worse, but they're they're not a good passing defense either. I mean, they're probably top 10 or bottom 10. If I think we want to look at it of bad pass defenses. So in general, their defense just isn't very good. When you talk about winning the turnover battle, kind of like you said, on the flip side of like their defense not being that great in the run or pass defense, I did see a different stat table today from ESPN on about teams that have the most explosive plays this year. And Colts are second because, like you said, Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor, it's like, Anthony Richardson is, like you said, he's either throwing bombs or picks. And then Jonathan Taylor's kind of that classic running back right now that kind of always ends up happening to older running backs where it's like, 1 yard, 2 yard, 1 yard, 1 yard, 2 yard, 70 yard. And that's kind of how the team's built. They're built on like these big explosive plays. So Steelers need to find a way to really contain that. And so winning the turnover battle is huge because the assumption is that those big plays probably are going to happen. If you win the turnover battle, that's fine. But the assumption is that Anthony Richardson's probably going to throw a 70-yard bomb, or Jonathan Taylor rips off a 50-yard run. But if they can win on the turnover battles, then those don't do as much damage as they should. And then, continue Anthony Richardson, of course. I mean, he's a big dude, big body. But, with our defense and our D line, probably one of the best in the NFL right now, I'm going to give that battle to them to win that one. And hopefully they can prove us right. Like I do every week, I'm going to kind of quickly go through the depth chart for you. We got Anthony Richardson at quarterback, Jonathan Taylor running back, just like I said. Wide receivers are very good. It's a testament to why Anthony Richardson hasn't been doing that well, that these receivers aren't popping off more. But they have Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, and a Donnie Mitchell. Donnie Mitchell is someone who we wanted, but we have Zach Frazier, who's been lighting up the league anyways. Those 4 receivers are really good, so pass defense for us is going to need to be real strong. JPJ, Dante Jackson, Mick Fitzpatrick. I mean, we have to be on our A game on that one for sure. Chris just sent me a tweet about Josh Allen during the podcast. Appreciate that. It's about him.
You're welcome.
Dissing Stephon Diggs, basically.
Yeah, big time.
After receivers, you have the tight end is Kylan Grandson and Mo Alley Cox. Mo Alley Cox has beaten us in the past, but the tight ends are, just based off that, not anything I'm worried about. Left tackle Bernard Rainman, who's pretty decent. So Nick Herbig's got a good battle test there. Quentin Nelson, always been a beast. Cam Hayward's gone against them plenty of times. Ryan Kelly at center, decent center. Right guard, Will Freeze, don't know who that is. Good luck to you. And at right tackle, good luck to you, sir, against TJ Watt. It is Braden Smith. Don't have a lot of confidence in you, so good luck there. On defense, who the Steelers offense is going to be going against? You have Kwity Paye, who we all know, and rookie Laitu Latu, right? Is that how you pronounce his name? Tavin Bryan, Grover Stewart, and Tyquan Lewis make up the front end. I mean, did you recognize any of those names besides the rookie and Kwity Paye? No. Unfortunately, no. Call me a non-ball knower, but maybe they just aren't, I don't want to say it, maybe they're just not as good. Linebackers, you got EJ Speed. What are these names, bro? Zaire Franklin. Oh my God, what is his name? Segun Olby? Segun Alubi? Yeah, there's your linebackers. Can't say I care too much about that. So maybe look for Freiermuth. Again, more middle of the field stuff. As the middle of the field passing got better, maybe you're looking at more of that situation there. And then the secondary is actually not that bad. You got Julian Blackman, who got paid. Nick Cross, who we've scouted before on the podcast. Jalen Jones on one side, and then Kenny Moore, who's questionable, potentially might not play in this game, but he's pretty solid too. George Pickens, and they're going to have the game cut out for him. However, that front seven, Chris, a bunch of D linemen we don't know besides Kwity Paye, and a bunch of linebackers I don't know. That's what we talk about the run game. That's what we're talking. We're giving that the predictions we're going to give it. And for all intents and purposes, we know Mike Tomlin plays. I mean, it's hard to call someone a trap game in week 4 because the Colts we're supposed to be a better team, but we know how Mike Tomlin can play. I expect the Steelers to win this game, and hopefully they do. Hopefully they do.
Absolutely. Yep.
That being said, let's move on to our game picks and wrap this baby up, huh?
Let's do it.
All right, Chris. Well, last week, I had 4 right. I'm getting worse and worse. So let's see how this week goes. We know ball. Yeah, I was boasted that I knew ball because I had 14 right the first week, and then I got 6 last week, and then 4 the week, or 6 week 2, and then 4 last week. So hopefully this week's better, and I think the first one's hopefully easy. We got Cowboys at Giants.
So tough. Cowboys?
I'm gonna go Cowboys. based on that stat I told you about the Colts thing, the Cowboys do have the worst run defense in the league, and Devin Singletary is running all over the Browns defense, but I'm still going to go Cowboys. They need a win desperately if they want to keep up the facade that they're a top team in the NFC. Then you got Bengals at Panthers.
I mean, I think the obvious one is Bengals, but like Andy Dalton is, I mean, they have more wins.
So again, I just had, let me remind you, I had 4 right last week. I'm going to go Panthers.
I'm going to go Bengals.
I'm going to go Panthers.
I hope Panthers.
Andy Dalton had a great game last week. It's a revenge game against the Bengals. The Bengals defense is so completely garbage that I think I'm going to go Panthers on this.
Do it. I hope you're right. But Adam Thielen went on IR, just to let you know.
I don't care. We got Deontay Johnson and my boy Xavier Legette. I don't care about Adam Thielen.
Yeah, fair enough.
Next is Saints at Falcons.
Saints?
This is bad, Chris. We're already diverging, which is fine. It makes it fun. I think I'm going to go Falcons. The Saints barely lost against the Eagles. I get that. And they had a great week 1, week 2. Falcons, I think, have looked better every week since we've played them. And I think I'm going to go Falcons at home. Jaguars at Texans.
Texans. Jaguars suck.
Absolutely. They sure do. I am also going to go Texans. Jaguars are garbage. Might be the first team this year to fire the coach in the middle of the season. Broncos at Jets.
Broncos have a good defense, but I think the Jets are going to pull it out.
Yeah, Broncos, surprisingly, after our preview for the Steelers playing the Broncos, we said their defense was bad, but they surprisingly have gotten better and better. They're looking pretty good. Bo Nix had a great game last week, but the Jets are getting better too. Aaron Rodgers looked good last week. So because it's at home, I'm going to go Jets. Next is a great game. Going to be tough, but if Jordan Love's not playing, not as tough. Vikings at Packers.
Has it been decided he's not playing?
Has not been.
I feel like he will be, but regardless, it's in Lambeau, isn't it?
Yep.
I'm riding high with the purple.
I think Vikings. I have to as well. They're playing way too well. I think I gotta go Vikings as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing way too well to pick against them, but that's a great game, and it's usually a good split right there.
Mm.
Us against the Colts.
Steelers
indeed. Rams at Bears.
Rams don't need apparently anybody to be good, so
they're a scrappy team, man. I think they shouldn't be as good as they are, but they're a scrappy team. Shout out Christian Roseboom, your boy right there.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm picking Rams as well. Eagles at Buccaneers. Playoff rematch. He's thinking, folks. He's thinking.
I said I would not pick against the Buccaneers unless I was given a reason. And last week I was given a reason. So I'm going to say the Eagles.
I think I'm going to say Buccaneers because they're at home. I really am. Is that the wrong choice? Probably.
Yeah.
Oh. Up next is Patriots at 49ers.
49ers.
They need to win bad. They need to win to keep up with their facade as the best team in the NFC. Here's a good one, kind of tricky good. Commanders at Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm riding high on that Commanders train, man. Go Commanders.
I feel you. I'm going to go Cardinals. Jaden Daniels looked awesome. And that touchdown late in the game to Terry McLaurin when there's like no time left, 10 people on the field. Throw. Yeah, he just launched it up and it's a perfect dime. Amazing. I'm still going to go Cardinals because I don't know. I feel like they're kind of like an even match team here. But we'll see, man. If the Commanders win this game, I'm going to start believing them for sure. But that was a great game the Commanders played. Don't get me wrong.
You're really trying to repeat your 4 wins of last week.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm a psychopath. Maybe I only know Steelers football. Probably because I don't watch any other game. Let's go Chiefs at Chargers.
Chiefs.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many injuries of good players and suspensions. And
I think Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt are out because they got injured against the Steelers. I think Justin Herbert might still be out. And yeah, like you said, Derwin James suspended. It's Chiefs got it written all over them. They don't need the rest help in that one. They got injury help instead. Browns at Raiders.
Come on, Raiders. Please, Raiders. I do think the Raiders will pull this one out. Browns are looking horrible.
Yeah, god awful, which I couldn't be happier about. Hate the Browns, hate the fans, but and I'm glad that they're having a meltdown over it in week 3. Raiders did not play well last week, and their head coach Antonio Pierce said, we have people who aren't showing enough effort, and I'm going to make sure the people who want to show effort are going to be on the field. I don't know what that means, but hopefully that means he's putting them back into shape and they win this game. So I'm going to go Raiders as well.
Amen.
What I hope that means is that Devontae Adams isn't showing effort and they can trade it to our team instead. Next, we have Bills at Ravens.
Honestly, Bills, they just look so good, and I know the Ravens are 1-win team, but
look, man, I know it's in Baltimore. The Bills have not scored less than 35 points this year. They're insane.
That's crazy.
They scored like 35, 38, and then 47 last night. So I'm picking the Bills. They're a scoring machine. Even the tweet you just sent me, where he was like, I'm glad we have receivers who don't care about stats. We're just getting touchdowns. They're scoring touchdowns. They're scoring an insane amount of touchdowns.
And their defense is weirdly good for having nobody.
I agree.
Yeah.
Which is like, I like the Bills until we play them because their playoff game last year pissed me off. But I like them until we play them. Then 2 Monday night games again. We got Titans at Dolphins. Will Levis against Tyler Huntley.
Oh, Huntley's their quarterback now?
Yeah, Skylar Thompson got hurt too.
I might give that one to the Dolphins, to be honest.
I don't believe in Tyler Huntley. I don't know. Dude, I actually don't know what to do. I told for those of you listening, we do a family pick with our parents. And I was telling our mom, I don't know who to pick, and I think I picked Titans, but I really don't know. I don't know. I think the quarterback's such a huge part of their game, and I don't know who's the best option to pick here. I don't know.
We're bound for a week 4 Will Levis meme, so
that is true. Maybe I'll switch to Dolphins because they're going to run the ball. I'll check to see how the Dolphins run defense is.
Sure.
Seahawks at Lions. Finish it out.
Honestly, Seahawks are playing well, but I also don't see them staying undefeated long, so I'm going to go Lions.
Yeah, this is going to sound hypocritical, but I don't really believe in the Seahawks undefeatedness either. So I am going to go Lions as well.
Nice.
Thanks. And that's the end of the game picks. Thank you for listening to Northern Steel Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Club Penguin, on RuneScape, on World of Warcraft, and on League of Legends, and on mylittlepony.com. Chris, do you have anything else to say to the people?
Go Steelers.
No way, dude. That's so awesome and creative and fun. Go Steelers. Deuces.
Peace.